It's Hockey Night in Indianapolis.
When Major League Hockey came to Indianapolis in 1974, no one knew the sport's two greatest players would one day wear the Racers red, white, and blue. But the Racers story is so much more than just a launch pad for Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier. To tell the story of revolution, struggle, and the special bond between a city and a team now lost in time, we'll start with the original radio voice of the Indianapolis Racers, Hockey Bob Lamey.
By the 1970s, Major League Hockey seemed creaky and stale. The National Hockey League had monopolized the market for decades, and it lagged behind the rest of the changing sports landscape. The World Hockey Association changed all of that. In 1972, it shocked the sports establishment by stealing the NHL's reigning superstar, Bobby Hull, and then raiding other NHL clubs of their top talent. The WHA also smashed the tradition button-down image of professional ice hockey and embraced the funky disco beat of the 1970s. WHA players sprouted long hair and afros, and they weren't afraid to express their individuality. On the ice, the WHA introduced regular season overtime and offensive-minded rules that we take for granted today. It wasn't always pretty, but ice hockey was fun in the World Hockey Association.
I mean, it was the beginning of what it is today. And that's why you have to have such great respect for the Hulls of the world, the Cheeverses, the J.C. Tremblays that went and become part of that. I know there's many more, but they left solid careers where they were to take a chance on this new situation.
I think it opened up avenues that would have always been closed to a lot of superstars that went on to be superstars in the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League became a very closed shop. The WHA came along, I'm sure opened their eyes. They never thought it would get off the ground. And as it got into its second and third year, the parity of the hockey was obvious.
That provided the catalyst for opportunities for especially more Canadian kids that wanted to play the game, which eventually become more American boys that expanded the game to Europe. It made it more wide open. It opened up the doors from a closed shop to an open shop.
And the other part that it did, it raised the salaries of hockey players then and forever. Because the owners were paying them very little at the time. There was no competition. You couldn't go to another team. I mean, players' salaries doubled and tripled, and it was incredible.
I was drafted by the Los Angeles Sharks, and I really didn't want to leave Pittsburgh because I thought I might lose an opportunity to play in the NHL. But when I saw some of my friends and competitors leaving, and for a good amount of money, Los Angeles called and they said, look, we'll give you $35,000 the first year and $40,000 the second. Well, you can do the math. I'm going, holy cow, that's a 500% raise.
And it was a good league. There was a lot of good players in it. Much as the NHL likes to belittle it and act like it never existed, you just have to listen to some of the players like Wayne Gretzky and Bobby Hull and Gordie Howe and the different players, Frank Mahovlich, that were in that league, and hear them talk about it, and it was a pretty darn good league.
I agree. I think what it did was it gave a lot of us who maybe would not have had the same opportunities, the opportunity to play at a high level, and the opportunity to play at the highest level.
We were very much up for those games, and we had the opportunity to play Russia and Czechoslovakia and teams like that the NHL had played too, and always tried our very best. To put on a good show.
The Indianapolis Racers were thrust into the WHA's third season of operation into a brand new arena and a city eager to prove its major league status.
I thought at the time that that was going to be, and should have been, an excellent franchise for many years. Greatest fans that you could find in the whole country, definitely in Indianapolis. And then some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life were in Indianapolis.
So I thought, you know, this could work here because the fan base was here, people were good, the income level was good enough to support major league sports. And I knew if we got a good team, the hockey team, that everything would be okay. The first year was a little rough because I think maybe we won 9 or 10 games, but you could tell the fan base was there.
But the record was pretty atrocious. And towards the end of the first season, you could see the franchise trying to acquire some better players and making some moves. The first year was pretty difficult.
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating. It was very difficult. You know, and to put a finger on any one person, it would be unfair. But you know, our coach was inexperienced. You know, he had only coached at the International Hockey League level. Wasn't a good communicator, so that was difficult. He had some seasoned veterans there, but quite frankly, the attitude was never there to be a winner. And it was a very long and difficult season, no question.
But the second and third year were really kind of the fond years, the great years to remember, where the franchise really turned around.
And I knew we were going into a dispersal draft, and I said, God, you know, Indianapolis would be one of the great places to go and play. And sure enough, that's what happened, and you know, I guess history went on from there.